Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of BGL F the Odds, brought to you by BGL Financial Freedom. A little selfish plug. Take care of yourself in this world. Today, I want to talk about Mindshift. We all talk about mindset. You hear about that all the time, but I want to talk about Mindshift. I think Mindshift is so important for a lot of people that aren't where we want to be. I've had so many times in my life where I just felt like I was kind of running into a brick wall. It wasn't where I wanted to be. Things weren't going the way I wanted them to. And I think I let a lot of things that were happening in my life, I thought that they were happening to me. And realistically, they really weren't happening to me. It was things that it's just my mindset. So I'd do a mind shift. So when I started owning my own thoughts, I had a mentor a few years ago, and I think a lot of us we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We say we like I need to do this today. And he called me out and he said, Brian, why do you need to? Like what's gonna happen or what? He goes, so if you don't get it done today and you get it done tomorrow, like what's gonna happen? You're gonna die today? Probably not. So it really made me shift my thought process that to tell myself just change my language. Instead of need and putting all this pressure on myself on a daily basis of the pressure word of need versus I get to, or it would be beneficial if I did. I started to just think like, so what? So what? Growing up as an athlete, you got to have a short memory in sports. I was playing golf this last weekend with three strangers. I showed up to the course, it's just a single walk on myself, and I'm playing with three people I'd never met. And about the fifth hole, this guy, and keep in mind, we didn't know each other. This guy asked me, he goes, Brian, he goes, I can't tell if you hit a good shot or a bad shot because you act the same every time you hit the golf ball. And I said, well, what does it matter if you hit a good shot or a bad shot? I go, no matter what just happened, a good shot or a bad shot, they're both in the past. We can't worry about what just happened. The only thing that I'm focused on after I hit a golf shot is my next shot. I either have a good look at the green or a good look down the fairway, or I have trouble. Like those are your two options. And it doesn't matter what just happened. It only matters what my next shot is. And I had to shift my mind. It doesn't, what just happened is irrelevant at this point, right? The only thing that matters is what's happening next and how we're handling that. I think there's a couple of really good books that I've read lately that have helped me with that mindset. And I've had this mindset for quite a while. I live a life of gratitude now, which has completely shifted my thought process towards everything. I honestly, I used to think these people that said, "Oh, I don't have bad days." I was like, "Yeah, right. Of course you don't. I used to call bullshit, right? Like, I'm sure you do have bad days, but the more I've trained my brain to just control what we can control and the stuff that we can't control, let go of, we should just be aware. But I mean, if you can't change it, then there's no reason to spend your time and your day and hours and mental capacity on things that you can't control and you can't change. So focus on the things that you can change, the things that you can impact, the things that are going to affect yourself and other people around you. I just got done reading a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Love that book. We're all as far as we can go right now until we learn something new or we change something or we grow. And I feel like that's such an important part of where we're all of us. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're at. I have a buddy that's super successful, makes a couple $1 million a year. Most everybody that I know would call him very successful. And I said, what's your day look like right now? And he goes, Brian, he goes, I'm spending more time now on personal development than I ever have before. He goes, I got making $1 million a year down. but I don't have making $3 million a year down. I don't have $4 million a year down. I don't have double the impact that I'm making now down. He goes, I got to grow myself into that person. He's trying to read a book a week. I'm like, if he's trying to read a book a week, I better be trying to read a book a week, right? I'm not $1 million a year guy yet. I will be because my mindset tells me I will be at some point, right? It's activity over time. Continue to do the things that are going to be money making activities and just stay the course. Don't let life bring you down. The other big book that I read lately is called Let Them, Mel Robbins. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's all over the internet. What a fantastic book. And I don't care what you do for a living. That is a book that would help teenagers, adults, men, women, doesn't matter. It's such a good book because we all get frustrated. We get frustrated with loved ones, we get frustrated with our kids, we get frustrated with our spouses, we get frustrated with our coworkers, and it really puts things into perspective of, again, controlling the controllables. We can't control other people's actions. So when you're coming from a place of being proactive instead of reactive to how other people act, life gets a lot less stressful. That's where the mind shift comes. It's super important to just live your life in your own peace. I think of in my own thoughts is like, does this really matter? Like, is this going to matter in 5 years? If it's not going to matter in 5 years, then I better not give it more than 5 minutes right now. I better not let it consume my day. I better not let that turn into a phone call with a colleague of mine when he says, "How's your day going?" And then I throw up all over him on the phone, telling him how bad this one thing have that I went through that isn't going to matter one bit in 5 years from now. Don't give it any traction, right? You be in control. And I feel like that's just such a shift for most of us. I think we all get to the point some days where we're not where we'd like to be mentally. But when you can take control of your own thoughts and other people don't dictate if you're having a good day or not, life gets way more fun. I honestly say I don't have bad days anymore because it really doesn't matter what happens because it's nothing bad's going to happen really at the end of the day. Like I mean, yes, bad things happen on a daily basis, but majority of the time it's not something that we can't overcome or we can't move past or we can't grow ourselves through or we can't get seek counseling to have somebody help us. The majority of the time, and yes, there's certain circumstances, I get it. I understand that. I'm not oblivious to, you know, things that are super bad, but at the end of the day, the majority of the things and all the thoughts that go through our mind, you know, we don't need to give them, we don't need to water them and nurture them and let them grow. Like like be done with them. I read something the other day that says the average human has, millions of thoughts that go through their head in a day, and 80% of them are negative. I'm like, holy cow. What if we could change our mind shift, right? To where only 60% of them are negative, right? Where would we be? How much better would we be? I talk about 1% better with my sons every single day. Like I don't care where you're at right now, because tomorrow, right now, is going to be in the past. So what am I doing to get a little bit better tomorrow? 1% better before tomorrow. 1% better today. I have a buddy who's in my industry with me, and we used to go through our numbers of, what we were going to do for the month. And his goal was always, I'm going to max out. And I used to just think he was crazy, but he's not crazy. He had a mind shift. He shifted his mind to where he just wanted to, his whole goal throughout the day was he wanted to look at himself in the mirror that night and ask himself, did I do everything I could? Did I do my best today? Did I do my best? He wasn't outcome driven. He was process driven. He's like, did I do the best that I could? It doesn't matter what happens throughout the day. If you did your best is always going to be enough because tomorrow's another day. It's the days where you spend a couple hours on TikTok that you shouldn't have, or spent more time on Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook. And then you're like, whoa, where did the day go? Right? We can watch reels all day or we can be productive and get better. And that's where you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and take a checkup from the neck up and say, how did I do today? Give yourself a report card. That's the that's been the biggest mind shift for me is just to look in the mirror and go, am I happy with my activity today? Not the results. The results are always going to be a byproduct of what we did for the day. And just start stacking wins. There's days where I'm not productive like I want to be, but then I catch myself and I go, okay, we're not going to do that tomorrow, or we're not going to have a bad afternoon or a bad 3 to 4 o'clock or whatever, wherever we got off track and we allowed other things to dictate our day. That's where we got to get back on track and have that mind shift that we can do whatever we set our minds to. I also write all my goals down the night before for the next day. So when I wake up, I already know what's going to happen for the day. And now I just have to be disciplined enough to do what I already said I was going to do. And that's where character comes in, right? Are we the people that we do the things that we say that we're going to do, or do we just say that we want or we're going to do things to make ourselves look good and then we do something different? Those are all things that we have to figure out for ourselves. I talked about my fitness and having conversations with myself on being on the treadmill for 60 minutes a day. I was thinking about that last podcast while I was at the gym this morning, and I kind of chuckled to myself because I wasn't thinking that I was going to be done before 60 minutes today because I've talked myself through that long enough now to where that's not even a question anymore. And that's where you got to mind shift and reprogram your thought process. And man, once you get to that point and you know that you're constantly growing in those aspects of your life, you can do anything that you put your mind to. And I hope that what anybody's going through right now, you can find peace in how you think about things and how you get through things and the stress that you may be bringing upon yourself that doesn't need to be there. So maybe pick that book up, let them, maybe listen to some more podcasts about that. Mel Robbins has got a lot of traction right now with that book, and she's making a lot of impact in a lot of people's lives. And go do things that serve you. That's all I got today. Go be great today.